Hey there. Welcome to this Friday live edition of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. And today, I'm going to be taking down yet another of kind of the myths or things I hear online entrepreneurs say or do that make me say, oh God, no, please don't do that. And, maybe I don't actively react that way, but it's something that a lot of people are doing that is not helping their business. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about the problem of building your business in a certain way to, quote, be a good student. And what I mean by that is I hear a lot of entrepreneurs who decide that they are going to create a business in a certain way and kind of change things in their online business based upon something that their teacher taught. And so like a mentor, someone in the business says, this is the way you're supposed to do it. And so they decide they're going to change up what they're doing. And they're going to try to simply do exactly what their teacher taught them to do. I'm going to tell you why that is dumb. Now, I'm not saying that the people who are our mentors and our coaches are dumb. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is doing something just because it's what your teacher taught you to do or what they say or the method they teach is not a good reason. And that's what we're going to be talking about because it's something I see. And I'm going to give you some examples of where I've seen people do this and it's been disastrous. And then I'm also going to give you some examples of things that I hope will convince you that learning from people is great, but that doesn't mean you have to follow every last thing because I've seen that over and over again. But before we dive in, we got to talk about something I got going on right now. You guys have heard me talk about BOM Live, Badass Online Marketing Live, which we have coming up later this fall. And, we are selling tickets for that. We're doing that. But I'm not going to talk about BOM Live today. I'm not going to promote or send you to the page. Now, if you want it, you can find it. You know where to get it. I've mentioned it as a link in just about every show I've had over the last couple of weeks. Today, instead, I'm going to be talking about a free training I have coming up next week, next Thursday, October 15th, called Why Most Online Entrepreneurs Are Stuck in the 1950s and How You Should Be Marketing in 2020. Now, if you hear that and say, wow, Bobby is off his rocker, what is he talking about? Online marketing wasn't around in the 50s, so how could online marketers be caught in the 50s? Well, I know that. I know that they're not literally stuck there because you're right. The internets didn't exist back then, but their marketing mindset is stuck in that period. And we're going to talk about that on this training. I'm going to explain to you kind of some basics of like what the marketing concepts have been over time and demonstrate to you that most of what you're hearing and most of what the gurus are teaching you is stuck in the 1950s. And by the way, that's not like one idea of marketing ago. It's like 2 or 3 ago. And so I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to teach you what you should be doing instead. And this is going to be part of me going outside of the echo chamber of the online marketing world and saying what's happening in the broader world and showing you how you can apply that to your own business. And on top of that, we're going to actually talk about how to kind of do the first step of getting yourself seen in the online world, kind of cutting through the noise. So that's what we're talking about during the training. You can sign up by heading to bobbyklink.com/webinar. Again, bobbyklink.com/webinar. You'll get all the details. You can sign up and then we'll go from there. Now, with that, let's dive into this whole, I'm doing it because I want to be a good student. Now, I hear this a lot in the online space. And what I'll hear it is like literally people have an existing business, an existing something that's working. And then their teacher says, like, teach them to do something else. And so they decide, okay, I'm going to change my business and do what my teacher said. And I'm going to be a good student. Or there's separate from that, people as they're kind of building a business say, well, I've got to follow exactly what my teacher, what my mentor, what my coach is saying, because I want to be a good student. And again, I want to demonstrate to you that rationale, that mindset is not serving you. And I'm going to start with a story because it's a pretty good story. I know this woman. has a very successful business, was running very successful launches in her business on a repeated basis during the year, and converting almost 20% of the people who came into her launches. Now, if you don't know kind of industry standards, converting 20% of a launch is insanely good. And this was like including advertising to cold audiences and warm audience. So getting 1/5 of the people who come into a launch to say, yep, I want to buy, is a really good result. But then she decided she was going to change the way she launched because her coach had come up with a different method and she wanted to be a good student. Literally, that was the reason that she gave to me when I said, why in the world are you changing this? Again, I'm from the old school. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And she went forward with it. She changed her launch method and she converted, I don't remember the exact numbers, but way less, like a quarter of her conversion rate before, something crazy like that. And I share this to give you the point that this woman was saying, okay, I've got something, but my coach is teaching this new way of doing it, and I got to follow that and be a good student. And it had disastrous results. And I hear this over and over again because now let me step back about why you shouldn't be doing this necessarily. Like, I want you to get that in spite of what, most of us gurus are teaching what we know, what's worked for us. And I shouldn't say most, almost all of us, that's what we're doing. And within that, you have some gurus like me who are honest about that and say, look, I'm teaching you what's worked for me. It's not the only way. Then there are other people who act like their way is the only way and will tell you, look, you've got to, I don't remember how they say it, but it's like, you basically got to follow it exactly like I teach it first before you're allowed to innovate. And so it leads to this thinking. But the reality is all of us are teaching what has worked for us and what has worked for our students, but not all of our students. The reality is that we're all teaching one method. Now with me, I don't happen to teach like one strategy mainly. I'm teaching broader concepts. I'm teaching broader ideas. But people who are teaching you a particular strategy are often saying, hey, here's one strategy to try. But changing it up because they're teaching it is not a good idea, because if what you're doing is already working for you, it's a sign that your personality, your market, the people you talk to are responding to what you're doing. And if that's the case, you should not change things up to be a good student. And any good teacher, any good coach would tell you that, would say, look, if it is working, don't frickin' change it. You should keep doing that. And they might say, hey, you could try this little other thing here as a test sometime, but don't rework what you're doing overall to be a good student. I mean, literally, one of the things I want you to get is I don't want you to listen to me and say, okay, well, I'm going to build a business just like Bobby's. That is not what I'm teaching you. What I'm teaching you is to build a business of your dreams. Not my dreams, not based on me, not based on what I want to do, based on what you want, on what's right for you. That's the only place I want you to be a good student in listening to me, is to ignore me if I'm talking about a strategy that doesn't apply to you, if I'm talking about a tactic that doesn't apply to you, or that doesn't work for your personality. And a good coach would tell you that. But the other thing I want to give you as an example is, even if you're just starting, I don't want you to feel like you have to follow the steps exactly as a teacher is showing you. And I'm going to give you a very concrete example of this. It was hilarious to me. It occurred to me, one of my mentors is Amy Porterfield. I think everybody knows that. And last year in 2019, when she was launching for the second time, her course, Digital Course Academy. So it was a big launch, and she did a live stream, because this was pre-COVID. So she brought in success stories who came in and talked to her, where she was interviewing about what they did and how their success and all of this. think of it as like case studies, but in-person talking interview. Okay. So she does this, and there was this funny thing, like when she was done, because I'm her friend, I sent her a message. I said, hey, Amy, next time you might want to actually get somebody who followed your entire program, because it was hilarious. Every single person on the panel said, hey, your program was great, but I did this little thing differently because it worked for me. Or I did this other thing because I wanted to get it out there quicker. Or I tweaked this thing because. And so it was this very enlightening moment when I was watching this that I laughed at it because it is, something it made me smile. Because I'm sitting there saying, all of these people were explaining, look, Digital Course Academy is a fantastic program for teaching you how to build a course and launch it. But I had to tweak it for me in little ways to make it better. And they would say, look, it's not possible for me to have built my business without this information, but I had to change it for me. And so I heard that and like I said, I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. I hope Amy thought it was funny. But what I'll tell you is like, I see this over and over and over again. The people who feel like I have to follow each and every step without any change that my teacher is showing me, first of all, they get lost in the minutia, and half the time they actually don't get stuff out there at all. But if they do, often it's slow and it doesn't work and it doesn't fit them, right? I mean, imagine if I was taking a program about how to market and how to launch, and it was being taught by someone who is very staid, and very by the book, straight-laced. If I tried that, it wouldn't work. If I tried to take webinars, Amy is a master of webinars. She's great at it. But if I tried to apply her style straight without alterations for me, it wouldn't work. I mean, people comment that my webinars are fun because a lot of times I'll just have a random full screen picture that makes people laugh and that kind of energizes people and that I then comment on. And so I do things differently. I have adapted all of the things that I do to fit me. And that's what you've got to do. Being a good student, and it's this thing I've kind of realized this because, I think I've talked about this before, that I've started taking some marketing courses. And it's really weird because it's the first time since I think about 1998 in my life that people are expecting me to literally follow a book and give the right answer. Okay? Since 1998, basically my last year and a half in college, I wasn't taking courses that had true or false or multiple choice questions. I was taking writing courses. I was taking thinking courses. So it was always you're writing a paper and what's your analysis and what's your opinions and what do you believe and all that. And then in law school, just so you know, I mean, theoretically, there are kind of right answers, but it's not here's the right answer. It's an analysis. It's figuring it out. It's thinking through problems. It's working through problems. So that's the world I've lived in for the last 20 to 22 years. So I'm taking these marketing courses and they actually, there are multiple choice questions that you have to get right. And I'm like, holy crap, this is annoying. And I think too many people are treating what we're learning from our coaches and the people teaching us in the online world as if it's one of these marketing courses with a right and wrong answer. It's not. Marketing, yes, there are right and wrong answers about, what is the term that applies to blah, 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 blah. Yes, there are right and wrong answers about that. But creating a marketing plan for your business, marketing your business, putting your business out there, building your business, on the marketing side, there are not right and wrong answers. There are different approaches, and there's an approach that will work best for you. And it will almost certainly not be a matter of you saying, I'm going to be a good student and follow the process that someone taught me no matter what. Or that I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to follow their guidance. They say I should do this kind of launch, so I'm definitely going to do this kind of launch. That is not what makes a successful business owner. That's not what makes a successful business. If you want to be successful, you've got to get to the point, and I had an episode, a Tuesday episode about this a couple of weeks back, about you've got to understand the whys of marketing. And when you understand the whys of marketing, then all of a sudden you get to the point of saying, hey, okay, well, they're teaching this. That's cool, but I can, swap out this, that, and the other. That's when you're actually going to be successful. That's when things will really start to click. And that's about learning frameworks and ideas and things like that, not tactics, not strategies. I mean, people think it's hilarious that literally, I could put together a webinar in like 2 days. And I don't mean the slide decks. I mean, I could like build a page, send some emails, create the slide deck, and get all ready to go in 2 days. Because the execution, like when you're starting out, I get this, that the execution can seem like the hard part. The execution is not the hard part. The figuring out what's going to work for you, creating a vision for your business, a vision for what you want, a vision for how you want to market things, that's the hard part. That's where you need to be doing more of the work. If you do that work, all this other stuff, you can figure it out. I mean, seriously, again, this is something people don't want you to say, but if you decide, hey, I want to run a webinar, you can do searches, you can figure out how to create a webinar. I mean, you can. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to lie. You can figure it out. And it's really the first piece. And the first piece is deep work that no one can do for you. And so what I want to suggest to you is that you need to be doing that deep work instead of saying, I'm going to be a good student and simply follow an instruction manual that someone else has given me. Or I'm going to change what's already working because my coach, my teacher, my mentor says they're now talking about this way to do things. Don't do that. Stop building the business of someone else's dreams. Start building a business that you love. That's the first step to unlocking a successful business, candidly. And it's what the successful entrepreneurs have done. So that's it. Now, again, I'm going to give you a call to action again. If you want to listen to more of my wacky, make sure you join me for my webinar next week, which we're going to be talking about why most online entrepreneurs are stuck in the 1950s and how you should be marketing in 2020. Again, we're going to be talking about how kind of the marketing mentality of most online marketers. And by the way, I'm talking about what most of the gurus are teaching you is stuck in an old way of thinking about marketing. And I'm going to show you the new way of thinking. And this is based upon kind of, what the leading marketing minds outside of the online world are teaching these days and how you can apply it in the online world. Because we got to adjust to someone. It's just, we have to. But I'm going to show you all that. And I'm also going to teach you how you can kind of take that first step to stand out and be seen in the online world. So if you want to find out about it, head over to bobbyklink.com/webinar. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.